Hey guys. So, yeah, obviously the first thing to talk about is we finally get the reveal of Kaido and Yamato's origins, which is that they are ogres. And honestly, there's a lot to talk about with just this reveal alone. First is that in retrospect, just looking at all the little details of their character design, the horns, the clubs they wield as weapons, and even providing an explanation for Kaido's near indestructible body, it basically all fits, especially the last one, because supposedly, according to myth and legend about ogres and oni, they pretty much have very hard skin. Like it's almost apparently as hard as rock or steel or something like that. So so very early on in this arc, when we saw Luffy punch Kaido the very first time they came into conflict with each other, and he just kind of shook it off, and Kaido just kind of shook it off. It fits like the reason for Kaido's very hard body. The dude's an ogre, so yeah. It again. I love how this reveal isn't. I love how this is one of those reveals that really isn't all that surprising to us. Like he's an ogre. Yeah, it all fits with the legend. Um, this also explains why Kaido throughout his history as a pirate has been kind of dubbed as the strongest creature in the world, because nowadays people probably aren't all that aware of ogres, or at least people outside of Wano aren't aware of ogres and what they are and whatnot. Like ogres are still even now even considered legend in this, but I guess the fact that ogres are a thing now kind of also begs the question of what exactly is Nika actually a god too, or like what are Lunarians, or are gods actually real in this story now? Like that's kind of the big thing. Um, with that said, however, one thing I would like to get a deeper dive on now that we've gotten this reveal, is basically Kaido's like origins, his past, all that stuff, because this reveal definitely gives more context to the idea that everything that Kaido right now, everything he's saying to Yamato, he's doing his fair share of projecting, and that everything Yamato has and will continue, he's saying that Yamato has and will continue to experience, are things that have more than likely happened to him as well. And honestly, given Wano's history of isolationism and tradition, compiled on top of its hatred towards pretty much a clan like the pretty much Kurozumi, it's one of those things where what Kaido's saying isn't without its merits. Like people within Wano might in some ways feel distrustful or even fearful of what Yamato is, but at the same time, so it isn't without its merits. But what he fails to recognize as well is how Wano, despite that isolationism, Wano has still changed, and even more so after meeting the Straw Hats. And it's really only, and in some ways you could say it's really only Kaido and Orochi's actions in themselves that have caused this, the scorn of the people, not what Kaido even is that's caused it. One thing I would also like to know, if we do get Kaido's backstory, is what kind of influence on ogre mythology Oda will be using as influence to tell it, because there has been many different interpretations on the ogre Oni legend, but based on Kaido's dialogue, I'm assuming Oda's going with traditional evil cursed spirit take, because a lot of what Kaido's saying here is basically that just pretty much by Yamato's and his mere existence, they're pretty much born to be cursed. So yeah, I think he's going with a bit more of the traditional take on that legend, which, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he interprets that into Kaido's like backstory, if we get it or whatnot. Um, Aside from that, though, there wasn't all that much else to the chapter other than seeing everyone's reactions to Momonosuke as he indiscriminately rampages through Onigashima until he finally reaches Kaido. Although that in itself might be problematic, because it shows that Momonosuke is not only is that Momonosuke is not only still adjusting to his more adult body, but also to his more evolved power as well. And this is kind of bad in a lot of ways, because in like Momonosuke right now, if he's going to fight Kaido, he can't afford to like show any kind of weakness or gap in strength or anything. He's gonna have to get a grasp on all that power he's got real soon, because as we learned from Luffy's failure to defeat Kaido the first time and the second time, Kaido isn't exactly going to wait around for Momonosuke to handle on his power, so anything that Momonosuke can do in the immediate, I think, would be most helpful. And from there, you just gotta pray that he gets a handle on everything else throughout the rest of the fight. But for now, that also means Luffy and Yamato will have to do the majority of the heavy lifting. And on a more, I guess, symbolic level, I do like how Luffy and Momonosuke coming to Yamato's aid does in some way kind of spit in the face of everything that Kaido's said about Yamato being alone forever, because we know Luffy and we've known Luffy for so long, and we know he barely, if at all, discriminates. He just operates on the simple motto of, you hurt my friends, you're getting your ass beat. It's that simple. No other factors involved. He pretty much thought the same thing with he pretty much thought the same thing all the way back with Arlong. Like, he didn't even fucking care that Arlong was a fishman. He just cared that he hurt Nami. He put Nami through fucking hell. And guess what? It's the same deal here. Luffy does not care that you're a fucking ogre, Kaido. Get that through your head. He cares that you've hurt people. He cares that you've hurt Wano. You've destroyed Wano. You've hurt people here, and you've put many of his people he considers friends here through hell as well. So yeah, Kaido, you're just getting your ass beat. No other factors involved. Simple as that, bro. With that said, Momo's not the only one though. Like, Luffy needs to seriously show us something at this point. Just any kind of indicator that after being knocked out like that, he's got some kind of better control of his row or hockey in general, or literally anything that give us some kind of measure of understanding that Luffy can at least defeat Kaido this time. Like, he has to. Like, Oda, he has to give us something, and like Oda honestly has to give us something in this regard. And if Oda's act structure he's doing with this arc holds true, then a lot of the building up Luffy's power to defeat Kaido is probably all going to happen in Act 4, all the way leading up to Kaido's eventual defeat, I think. And just in general, building up Luffy's power. Unfortunately, that also means we won't get to that until next year, and the end of this year is what will probably. It definitely shows that the end of this year is what's probably going to end the end of Act 3. So I think I'm kind of with people that there's going to be like an Act 4 and an Act 5, which probably means probably 30 to 40 more chapters, probably, I think, within this, or yes, yeah, at least 30 more chapters, I think, of this arc, I think, is what's going to be left, which is frustratingly hype in some ways when you compile all that onto the fact that Oda's on break for 2 weeks. But knowing that, man, his version of rest is basically planning out the next phase of events. Now, this is something where I might be overthinking things a little, but I do find Kaido's choice of words in response to Momonosuke being a dragon now, and about the world not needing two dragon, it's interesting, because it's one of those things where it could just be a snide remark on Kaido's part, and just from the way it's phrased, it's more than likely is. But at the same time, reading One Piece has also kind of conditioned me to question everything, and even just the fact that he chose to give the chapter the title of Two Dragons instead of Two Ogres. I don't know. It feels like something's off and that he's building something up with that. And if it turns out I'm making something out of nothing, then blame Oda for that, because One Piece causes me to question everything sometimes, especially with the reveal of the Sun God Nika and Lunarians. It's just, my mind can't help but go there. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Analyst, Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and to share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Enemy, signing off. Later, everyone.